times, we're in the bed, covers over our head, afraid of the dark, and we're in that posture to protect ourselves. And for most of us, that's not where we live. Okay, I mean, there are those times when we're at the end of ourself and we absolutely must do, just hide in the bed. But, I know you, I see you, and you, just like me, we get up, and I always say, I'm a Tigger, I bounce. And even in the times when it feels like the springs are broken in my tail, I still bounce back from those moments. And I know you do too. I know that you do get up out of the bed. But often we've created a new way of existing in the world because of the scary darknesses, right? Because of being home alone, maybe even literally, worse yet, being home with people who scare us worse than the dark ever did, or being in abusive relationships or those kind of things. We've gone through some things, and now when we pick up our blankie for that safety and security, hey Shannon, glad to have you here with us. So good to see you. Thanks for coming on live. When we pick up that blankie and we hold on to it as something to remind us and make us feel safe, okay, we don't then stay in the bed covers over our head. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been times when we've both held onto our blankie really tight and had the covers over our head and been, just kind of shaking and shivering, right? We've all been in that space. Emotionally, really, it could be both literal or figurative, depending on the things you've been through in life. But we get up. We may take the blankie with us, and we create this type of process in our lives where we begin to dress differently. And now the clothes that the world sees may look exactly the same. Sometimes they're even, I hate to use the word sexier because that's not really what I'm thinking, but they are no less, if not more, elegant in what we do, right? But there's a difference inside of us, and we know it when we're getting dressed. Whether you're in a swimming suit of any sort, full body bikini, men just wearing briefs, whatever, or we're, dressed head to tail, fully clothed, dressier or more refined may be in the word I was looking for, yes. But there's a difference in the way we approach it, because now whatever we're wearing along with that is a whole lot of unseen by the rest of the world armor that we put on. And I know you know what I mean. And it's not a spirit, it's not a biblical kind of, put on the helmet of salvation and the shoes of peace and blah, blah, blah. It's not any of that kind of thing. I'm talking about the emotional, spiritual, ritualistic, almost even preparation that we do to be able to face the world. And it's armor. That's what it really is. We hold back parts of ourselves. We learn how to be able to show up in a situation in a certain way. And really, if the world knew inside of how we feel going out of the world, if you've ever seen a knight in full body plate mail, the visor down, all of that, the shield up, all of it, that's how we show up in the world. All too often. Because of the pain and the hurt and the things that we went through. Programs we repeat. Mantras that we have that aren't, we've talked a lot the last couple of weeks about, affirmations and asking ourselves and saying the things that are positive and encouraging, but those aren't the things we're repeating. They're the things that we repeat to keep ourselves safe, to make ourselves feel like we're okay. Right? And then we go out into the world, and that's the biggest piece that I want you to see. That armor you're wearing, it's been so you can go out into the world in whatever level you can. And whether you're full-blown, literally agoraphobic, and the most you could possibly do is open your door, or, it's more internalized and the world doesn't see it, it's still that same kind of armor. And slowly, over time, we begin to allow ourselves to show up in public with a little less of that armor on, sometimes. But sometimes it's gone even further than that. And that's where my little snarky title came in. Because sometimes, even though we don't know how to not show up in the world, and that's really what it is, we often are emotionally in a place where we'd like to stay in the bed with the covers over our head, right? We really would. But in truth, what we end up doing is we put on the full armor and we go out there. And then, because we still feel exposed, what we do is we install a cloaking device so that we can be out in the world, do the things we have to do, whether it be something as simple as going to the grocery store or as advanced as going to a networking meeting or whatever. And that's not to say that we aren't saying words, but we do it in such a way that we're, nothing to see here. It's kind of like if I put my hand in front of the camera right now, right? We keep ourselves hidden in that way. And that cloaking device, it served us too, because then we began to start feeling comfortable moving around in the world. And because I know you, and because I know your 20 or 30% that you've been operating at outshines most people's 120%, full armored, in full absolute cloaking device. When you do speak, you're actually just basically shouting from underneath the table, hidden in that kind of a way that you're never really seen. Not really. And don't feel picked on, please, because I don't intend to at all. But what I do want you to see is how well you're showing up and how much you're not. Because I know what you really want to be is visible and valuable and in demand and making an impact. And it's hard to do it when you're chinking around, clunking around in all that heavy armor. It's even harder to do when you're fully cloaked. You've got a cloak of invisibility on you, and nobody can really